Listen to how dishonest they frame this. In the lot, Rittenhouse stopped and turned around. Rosenbaum was not armed, McGinnis said, but he continued to run towards Rittenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? What is this tortured language? Okay,
He
this
was
is how
armed.
this is how a human writes this. Okay, this is how a human who's not biased writes this. When Kyle Rittenhouse reached the car lot, the person, they give the name, Zeminski, pulled a gun on him, or had a gun on him, and the defense says he said, quote, "You aren't going to do shit." After a confrontation, video shows Rosenbaum, who was behind a car, circling out and starting to chase Kyle from behind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have to describe, this is what I'm talking about. If this was honest journalism, the point of journalism is to describe the scene so that people reading it understand it. Okay. They need to know that Kyle reaches the gas station, that Rosenbaum, that he has the confrontation with Zeminski, and then Rosenbaum from behind starts chasing after him. But no, instead we get like no information. In the lot, Rittenhouse stopped and turned around. Rosenbaum was not armed, comma.
Yeah, it's
but
awful.
He continued to run towards Rittenhouse. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You read that sentence and you're like, I don't know. Like, if you didn't have the video in your mind and you read that sentence, you wouldn't even understand what the fuck they're saying. Quote, "It was clear to me it was a situation where it was likely something dangerous was going to happen, be it Mr. Rosenbaum grabbing it or Mr. Rittenhouse shooting it," Ms. McGinnis testified. Yeah, that was another really bad answer that he gave. Rosenbaum lunged for the rifle, McGinnis said. Well, that's good. And Rittenhouse dodged. As Rosenbaum's momentum was carrying him past Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse fired 4 times. Afterwards, Rittenhouse ran away, leaving Rosenbaum laying face down on the ground.
Face down.
So that's also a weird characterization too. Rosenbaum lunged and Rittenhouse dodged, but still shot him. I don't know. This is very bizarre.
Rosenbaum lunged for the rifle. At least they got, McGinnis said. And Rittenhouse
McGinnis
dodged.
said. Ritten dodged.
Yeah.
But that makes it sound even weirder because it makes it sound like, oh my God, see, it's even worse. Listen, let me read it again. Listen to how dishonest this is. Okay. Rosenbaum lunged for the rifle, McGinnis said, and Rittenhouse dodged, period. As Rosenbaum's momentum was carrying him past Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse fired 4 times. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are they saying without saying it? They're trying to make it sound like Kyle shot him in the back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying,
because he carried him past him.
Yes. They're saying
he
Rosenbaum,
never carried him past him.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're saying Rosenbaum lunged, Kyle Rittenhouse dodged. Okay. So if someone says you lunged and then dodge, in your mind,
you're thinking that the guy flew over him. And
yes,
he turned
around out of the way.
And he turned around and shot him in the back on the ground.
Yes. As Rosenbaum's momentum was carrying him past Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse fired 4 times. That fucking didn't happen.
Totally.
At all.
Yeah, he never passed Rittenhouse. He was always in front of Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is like fucking insanely fake news.
He fired so fast.
Like he fired 4 times
rounds.
in 0.66 seconds.
That's like a sixth of a second, right?
That's what they said. They said
a sixth of a second, yeah.
0.66 seconds to shoot 4 times. Yes.
Right. That's so crazy.
No, but see, this is what I mean. The person writing this article knows they're fucking lying because they wrote it in such a way that it makes you think that Kyle Rittenhouse shot him in the back. But if they were questioned on it, they'd be like, well, technically, I didn't say that.
Well, there's nowhere in the article yet where he says shot him in the back, though.
No, I know, but I'm saying using the language, he lunged and then Rittenhouse dodged.
Yeah, that's why I was...
And then his momentum carried him past Rittenhouse. Okay, so they're creating this fake narrative that makes you think something that's not true, and they're very aware of that. They're very aware of that.
That's why I was looking to see if she said anything about shot in the back, because that's a huge thing that uncovered for the first time about how, like, everyone on Twitter is saying that Rosenbaum was shot in the back, and they literally believe like he was running away from Kyle Rittenhouse. That's why they see the video incorrectly. But I don't know if that's the picture Becky Sullivan has in her head, if that's why she's writing in this tortured way, because she's trying to make
Yes.
the narrative that she has in her head fit with what she's seen.
And I don't
what she believes.
I don't remember McGinnis even saying this. Because I remember the whole thing about him saying he fell in front of him versus him lunging for the gun. I don't remember McGinnis using the words Rittenhouse dodged and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this just seems like 100% fake news to me. But anyway, let's continue. Let's see if there's more fake news. When prosecutor Thomas Binger suggested it was impossible for McGinnis to know what Rosenbaum was trying to do as he lunged, McGinnis replied, well, he said, fuck you, and reached for the weapon. So at least they included that part. Prosecutors showed cell phone footages of McGinnis trying to help Rosenbaum after the shooting, which was entirely for sympathy. And that was entirely irrelevant to the case. That was just to get the jury sad. In the videos, McGinnis can be seen turning Rosenbaum's body over, and McGinnis taking off his own shirt to try to stem the bleeding. In the testimony, he described that he felt in danger and afraid as he did so. Watching the videos as he sat in the witness stand, McGinnis appeared to grow emotional. Because McGinnis was close to the line of fire, Rittenhouse has been charged with recklessly endangering his safety with a dangerous weapon, which is a felony. So at least they got that correct. Anna couldn't get that part correct, but at least they did. Two other armed men who came to Kenosha that night were also key witnesses. Prosecutors have worked to characterize Rittenhouse as a reckless aggressor whose unreasonable initial actions, namely shooting Rosenbaum, led directly to the confrontations that followed, which is preposterous. On Thursday and Friday, they called two witnesses who were among the self-styled, quote, militiamen in Kenosha that night with the intention of protecting local businesses. That included Ryan Balch, who described Rittenhouse as a little under-equipped and a little underexperienced, and former Marine rifleman named Jason Lowski, who was standing with Rittenhouse in the moments leading up to shooting, armed with an AR-15. In his testimony, Lukowski described using a, quote, shout, shove, show, shoot philosophy that night, for which he might be approached by an aggressive individual. First, he would try shouting at them. If that didn't work, then he would try to shove them. Then he would show them his weapon, and then finally shoot his weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you should be asking yourself, how is any of this relevant to the story or the trial?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they're trying to, the reason the state called Lukowski is because they're trying to make it seem like Lukowski, he didn't feel like he had to shoot anybody. He was reasonable, but Kyle did shoot someone because Kyle is a crazy vigilante.
Yeah, Kyle was attacked.
Right. Lukowski testified that he never felt the need to progress past the shout that night, including during his encounter with Rosenbaum shortly before Rittenhouse shot him. Okay. So they're making it sound like, see, this guy, he had an interaction with Rosenbaum. Of course, the difference is that when he had his interaction with Rosenbaum, he was surrounded by the rest of the people with guns. And so he didn't feel, if it was a one-on-one situation, he was being chased by him. Maybe he probably would have turned around and shot him too.
Completely different situation. Yeah.
Right.
If Rosenbaum had him cornered between an angry mob destroying cars, he might have a different perspective, right?
Right. But see, and then you have to ask yourself, why is this all being included in the article? Well, because this article is doing the dirty work of the prosecution, basically.
Yeah, big time.
Lukowski testified that he never felt the need to progress past shoot that night, blah, blah, blah. Rosenbaum was, quote,
shout
acting.
That night. Yeah.
Rosenbaum was, quote, acting very belligerently, Lukowski said, yelling for Lukowski to shoot him and make sudden steps towards him, provoking a reaction. So Lukowski was the person he was saying, shoot me N-word to.
Right.
Rather than shoot, Lukowski said he chose to turn away.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, Lukowski turned away from the Rosenbaum.
Wouldn't it be cool if Kyle Rittenhouse did the same thing, if he chose to turn away?
Why couldn't Kyle be like Lukowski and simply turn the other cheek?
Well, let's talk about that. Why didn't Kyle Rittenhouse choose to turn away?
Well, he couldn't turn away because he already had his back to the guy who was chasing him in the first place.
Right. Wait a second. He did turn away. He turned away and ran.
Yes, exactly.
What? How come that's not included in the story here?
I know.
Rather than shoot, Lukowski, like Rittenhouse, chose to turn away. Unlike Lukowski, Rittenhouse ran as fast as he could until he was pinned between an angry mob destroying cars.
Yes. And a crazy person chasing him.
And a crazy pedophile trying to grab his gun.
Who said that he would murder him earlier in the evening?
Oh, that's not in the story, is it?
No.
Funny how that testimony didn't get in here.
Quote, after he'd done it a few times, I turned my back to him and ignored him, he said, describing Rosenbaum as a babbling idiot and repeatedly testifying that he believed Rosenbaum did not pose a danger to himself or anybody else. So that's also dishonest.
At the time, yes.
Yes. The question was, do you feel Rosenbaum posed a danger to you at the time? And he said no.
Because he was standing with a bunch of guys with guns.
Yeah, he's standing in a line with like 15 people with guns. So yes, he has the luxury to turn around and walk away. Okay?
Yeah.
And also Rosenbaum was being held back by other protesters at that point too.
Yes. Okay? Yeah.
This is so dishonest.
This was this was at the gas station when there was half a dozen armed guys standing together. Yeah. To shoot Rosenbaum in that situation would have been like insanity.
Yes.
Like why it's so bizarre that they're pitching it that way.
Quote, I really didn't see him as a threat at all, to be honest with you, said Lukowski. Okay. So we've had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of them describing the state's argument, basically.
Right.
Let's see. And they have one sentence for the defense. Defense lawyer Corey.
Where'd you move down to?
Oh, this is the next sentence.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Defense lawyer Corey countered by pointing out differences between the two encounters and questioning Lukowski's memory.
Oh my God. They don't even paint the picture. They don't even paint the picture.
They don't explain any of the differences. They just said he pointed them out.
This is horrible.
Isn't this insane?
If you don't know anything about the case and you're just reading NPR, you're going to walk away. Like when Kyle Rittenhouse gets off, you're going to basically say this was a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah. They don't explain that there's an entirely different situation. Entirely different situation. They don't give a single explanation about that at all.
This is awful.
And look, the subtext or the subtitle for this section was 2 other armed men who came to Kenosha that night were key witnesses. Okay.
Yeah.
And they only explain Lukowski's because Lukowski's testimony could be warped by the state to make Kyle look bad. They don't mention one of the most pertinent fucking things that's said in the entire trial, which is Balch saying Rosenbaum,
if I get you alone,
threatened
I'll kill
to
you.
murder Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yes. If I get you alone, I'll kill you, is what he said.
How is that not in the fucking article?
Yeah, this is awful. This is totally awful.